Rosemary, underrated. Don't use too much of it. Put it in your roasts, roast it with potatoes, with garlic, delicious, love it.
Okay, underrated, highly underrated. The Naughty AF, which stands for alcohol-free Chardonnay, is ridiculous. And if somebody gave it to you and you didn't know it was non-alcoholic, you would not be able to tell. It's insane.
Sweet potato, underrated. I love them. Delicious roasted, or you could like slice it up into a bake or mashed potatoes. They're great.
No. No, it's not Swiss chard. That is Tardivo, but in England, what would we have called it? Trevice? So yeah, a lot of these things that you see in the shop, you might see them and go, oh, that looks cool. No idea what that is. Tardivo would definitely fall into that category. So it is a chicory that we get by the incredible people at Omi Farms. They grow some really cool kind of experimental crops that you don't see around Niagara very often. And it's just like a really delicious, not too bitter chicory. You can use the whole thing. It's one of those heartier kind of lettuces where you can actually cook it, braise it, roast it, or you can just enjoy it raw in a salad. It grills really nicely. You can grill it and then marinate it. Super delicious. Underrated.
Sardines and tomato is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I like it just on a slice of sourdough toasted with loads of butter, bit of hot sauce, love it.
Calamari in ragu, so it's like one of the tinned fish that we carry in the shop. I would say the entire ecosystem of tinned fish in general, insanely underrated. In Canada, Ontario, Niagara, North America in general, I would say that we don't have as sophisticated an appreciation for tinned fish because it's just not a natural part of our culture necessarily. But in England and Spain and Portugal and across Europe, the industry and the culture of preserving fresh seafood is so sophisticated, and the fish that you're getting out of these tins, it's sort of counterintuitive, but it's probably the freshest seafood you have access to. The seafood sitting in the grocery store in a cooler, it's not as fresh as the stuff that you're eating out of a tin. A lot of the ones that we carry are super sustainable. They're treated with incredibly high quality ingredients, olive oil. The Scout canning stuff is an incredible local option, but obviously we have a ton of really cool ones from Spain and Portugal as well. So yeah, I think it's an incredible way to add a little bit of seafood to your diet, especially some of these species that we don't have here in Canada.
Sour smalls, underrated. I love candy.
Nduja is, I'm just saying it like that to help people pronounce it, because I think a lot of the times if you can't pronounce an ingredient, you're just gonna shy away from it and not ever try it because you don't wanna sound like you don't know what you're talking about. I think all humans are guilty of that. I do it too. I'll just point to a menu rather than say it wrong. But Nduja is this incredible, spicy, soft, kind of spreadable salami. You can just eat it raw, spread it on toast or crackers. It's unbelievable. You can also cook with it. It'll melt down really nicely, so you see it on top of pizzas and emulsified into pasta sauces and stuff. Underrated, sorry.
Dried chili, underrated. Love it. Put it on everything.
I'm gonna say chili crisp is underrated, especially Chengdu version that we carry in the store, and we have a ton of different options in store, and I'd say they're all underrated. But I would say the appropriation of chili crisp and people putting out bastardized versions on blogs and not really knowing the history and the culture behind it and making a subpar version just out of lack of education around it. I would say that is overrated. Anytime something gets super hot and people start to overuse it, I think it kind of teeters at the risk of being overrated. But really great chili crisp made by people who know what they're doing and care about what they're doing is still underrated.
Truffle oil, overrated. It's used a little too much for me.
Popcorn is underrated. Popcorn is perfection. I don't know what else to say. Should it be dinner? Probably not, but is it Totally. Yeah, it's one of my favorite foods of all time. Underrated.
Bushel Peck extra dark maple syrup. Yeah, I love it. Underrated. Put it on pancakes, French toast, waffles.
Kale. I'm gonna say kale, for me personally, is overrated just because it's one of those like superfoods that people freak out about and they don't even know why they like it. They just think that they should eat it more. I don't know. I love dinosaur kale or cavallonero. We used a ton of it where Jess and I first met, working at a hotel in England. It's like the super, super dark stuff, so you can get like an amazing amount of chlorophyll and pigmentation out of it if you're using it, say, to make like pasta dough or something like that. I love that, but just like curly kale, I don't know, I don't really have time for it.
Prosciutto Overrated. It's my least favorite cured meat.
Jess's honey smoked nuts from Stoke. Overrated. No. I would say properly rated because people know now that they're the best thing ever. And yeah, I think that they're properly rated. If people start putting them on pizza, then they're gonna be overrated. But I think we're safe, properly rated now. So that was overrated, underrated. If you have any subjects or food ingredients or things that you love, things that you hate, that you want us to give our 2 cents on, please leave a comment, shoot us a DM on Instagram, and we'll go over it in the next video.